It's your boy Seth, aka Paradise Lost, back with an all new reaction. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You want to donate, you can donate with the button at the bottom or through my Cash App. Today we're doing 47 years of Joe Biden's racist comments. A lot of you guys know I'm liberal, a lot of you guys know I'm left leaning. I believe in social programs and things like that. But one thing about me, I have not been a Joe Biden supporter. Last election, when he said the comment of, if you're not black if you don't vote for me, I knew he wasn't getting my vote. He's one of the few politicians that always race baits and judge people off of their race, and I feel like that in itself is racist. But at the same time, he loves to pander towards black people but not do anything for black people. I think a lot of my black brothers and sisters are waking up and noticing the facade that he puts on for our people. Something similar to what Hillary did. I don't know if you remember when Hillary was running against Trump. She went on a radio station and asked her what she keeps in her pocketbook, and she pulled out a bottle of hot sauce. I thought that was very racist. I just don't like a lot of the left. Their whole wokeness and policies are based off race, and I feel like that in itself is racist. And they try to talk down to you and look down to you on the terms of race, and they feel like they're your grand white savior and that we can't save ourselves. I had conversations with a couple of my friends, and I told them we got to come together as a community and not vote Democrat again. We got to come as a community and make the Democrats do something for us, because they always say they're for our people, they want to help our people, and all they do is tax us to death, makes policies that harm us. And all these years of Joe Biden running as a politician, what has he done for my people? What has he done for anybody? If you guys don't know, I'm Philly born and raised for my entire life. I lived in Delaware for a couple years. When I tell you, if you go to Delaware, Joe Biden's home state, they don't even like Joe Biden. They'll tell you he did a lot of bad things growing up. He was a crook, this and that. They'll talk bad about his son. His own state doesn't like him, from the people I have met. So I don't know. So 47 years of comments, I'm not surprised, but let's go over what he said. I know he probably said some nasty stuff, because Joe Biden, I'm just not a fan.
Are you going to apologize like Cory Booker
apologize
has called
for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better. There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Disgusting. You can't go to a 7-Eleven unless you got it. It's just little condescending comments like that.
The world is different. There's too much unfinished business for us to just look backwards. We have to look to the future.
I know Joe. We know Joe. But most importantly, Joe knows us.
That's right.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Even calls.
He always has like some, I don't want to say the word, but like some stuff with kids. I don't know what's going on with Joe, but he always has some creepy comments about kids and stuff.
Even call centers, which rushed overseas in the hundreds of thousands. How many times you get the call? I'd like to talk to you about your credit card.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. They're going to put you all back in shape.
Poor kids are just as talented as white kids. He made a slip up. He meant to say black kids. He equate being black to being poor as the same thing.
We need, in my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic Party is diverse, and it should be reflected as so in our leadership.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump,
this is the comment I'm talking about.
and you ain't black.
Why does this happen?
If you have a problem figuring out if you're for me or Trump, then you're not black. If you don't get out of here, you clown. I'm not a Trump supporter, and I'm definitely not Republican, But living under Trump, Trump had did so much for us in the economy versus you. Now it's hard to buy gas, milk, rent went up. The average black person, the average person in America, life is harder for you as a president. So people are struggling to vote for. It's just comments like that, like he's belittling you and talking down to you like you're dumb if you're black and you vote for Trump. Well, I got.
What I'm not going to do this because Chuck, I'm not going to do this because let me just be really clear. Vice President Biden absolutely has a respect level for all people around him, for voters across this country, young people, older voters, voters of color, black people, Latino voters, indigenous, Asian American, Pacific Islander. So I'm not going to even traffic in any hypothetical conversation about if he is sensitive enough. In my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
I think Joe Biden might be suffering from that same white entitlement and privilege and ego, where he's just that old school white male who feels like, hey, man, they need me, I don't need them, or I got them already.
Joe Biden is under fire this evening on comments he made about working alongside segregationist senators in the past.
Biden recalling his early Senate career, bringing up two segregationist senators, Herman Talmadge and James Eastland, who called African Americans an inferior race. I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland, Biden said. He never called me boy, he always called me son. At least there was some civility. We got things done. We didn't agree on much of anything. We got things done.
I think the two-party system, although my Democratic colleagues don't like me saying this, I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black in the South. Other than the fact that they still call me boy, I think they've changed their mind a lot.
See, he was in support of a lot of the policies and things that we're against now. If you look back, I don't want anybody black looking at it. If you look back at the history of the Democratic Party, it stems with a lot of racism, a lot of anti-black laws. They were for a lot of the things that we would call racist nowadays. So I would look back at the history of the Democratic Party. I feel like a lot of them just try to get the black vote and act like they're woke and they're down with the people, but they're not. If you truly look at their policy, their anti-gun policy, which the gun policies are historically racism. Some of the first gun laws were pit against black people. So gun policies have a history of racism. If you go and look at the Roe v. Wade and stuff like that, and Margaret Sanger and the history of Planned Parenthood, a lot of that stems from racism, and that's one of the biggest things they support. So it's just sad, and they try to cover it up like they for us. But if you ever meet anybody that's Republican or conservative or right-leaning, they'll show you nothing but love and respect. Go look at my last video, my Oliver Anthony video. A lot of people that comment were conservative. They were from the South. They were white people, and I'm not trying to separate it from color, but it's important to the story. And they're so respectful. They're so kind. They're in the comments showing me nothing but love. They're in my DMs showing me nothing but love. Even they disagree with me. But it's the people on the left that's bashing me, name calling, saying things about race, color, weight, all this other stuff, because that's how they look at you. But the people on the right, they're nothing. I have never had a bad experience with somebody on the right, personally.
It's that old school white male.
It's just sad.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
They're going to put us back in chains.
30 seconds or less. What kind of a chance would a northeastern liberal like Joe Biden stand in the South if you were running in Democratic primaries against Southerners like Mark Warner and John Edwards?
Better than anybody else. And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
It's that old school white male.
Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Not the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
My son is a...
Hold on, go back to that comment. You see how he looks at black? This is the first mainstream black guy that's clean cut and smart, intelligent. He thinks black people are dumb. He thinks they're savages. He thinks they're not articulate. They can't put together thoughts and things like that. So he's amazed when he met Obama. Oh, this guy, he's like me. He's smart. He's smart like a white. Comments like that are secretly racist. They are. It's just a lot. So guys like him, you gotta watch out. The KKK member that yells out all that stuff on the internet, who's neo-Nazi and all that stuff like that. That guy, he's outwardly racist, and he's not as scary as somebody as Joe Biden, who acts like he's for your people, then create policies against your people.
The Attorney General, a year in Iraq, came back, and that's one of the things that he finds was most in need. When he was over there in Iraq for a year, people would come to him and talk about what was happening at home in terms of foreclosures, in terms of bad loans that were these Shylocks who took advantage of these women and men. Back from Mumbai to go meet with President Xi in China. I stopped in Singapore to meet with a guy named Lee Kuan Yew, who most foreign policy experts around the world say is the wisest man in the Orient. There's not a racist bone in my body. But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're...
So the racist man and the Oriental, which is outdated term to begin with, it's just Joe Biden has a long history of racism. So does a lot of the Democratic Party. But it's just sad. I just would like to let my people know, people in the black community, and stuff like that, that I don't think he's the candidate for us. Even if you still want to vote left or Democrat, I don't think he's the way. We need people that better represents us and is more sensitive towards our issues, and that's trying to bring us together instead of divide us. But gang, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, I want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for all the blessings that he has given me, and it's never too late to come home to Jesus Christ. And I know y'all love this shirt, back with that Dolly Parton t-shirt. Your boy, Seth, out.